Welcome in, everybody. This is the Blue Chip Breakdown, and we are your hosts, Bull and Timmy G. Y'all, please make sure to like and subscribe as soon as y'all come in. Thank you so much. And also, I don't think I've done this live or on any of my videos or anything like that. But, I just want to send my thoughts and prayers out to everybody that got hit by that storm. I know a lot of people, dealing with some crazy stuff with that. So I saw that T and Junior was saying his power is still out. I mean, that's just crazy. And I wanted to do like a YouTube fundraiser, but I don't have enough subs yet, so I can't do that. But I'm trying to figure out what we can do on this channel to just try to help everybody that is dealing with that. But to everybody that is dealing with it, again, thoughts and prayers are out to you. Everybody that was not hit by it, everyone that can join us, thank you for joining us. But we are going to go ahead and get into the video today. I just want to kind of just do like a temperature check with everybody. How's everybody feeling about this game coming up versus Arkansas? I think that there's a lot for you to maybe be kind of like excited about, maybe some things that kind of worries you. But Timmy G, I'm gonna get your thoughts on it first, man. How are you feeling about this game?
Man, I'm excited. Obviously, I mean, I want to see the guys get out and play. It's another good test for us. It's a SEC road game in a place that people are going to be fired up, and versus a pretty good team. I know the record doesn't quite reflect that yet, but I mean they've been really close. Couple breaks went their way, and they could be 4-1, 5-0 right now. So I think we're getting ready to see a good team, and I think we're going to get to see a good game, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So we're gonna get straight into the chat. I see right here that Chatsworth has some coming in. What's going on, Chatsworth? He says right here, hello, Bull. Question I've been wanting to ask specifically: how does a road game affect team preparation? And then he's got a few more. He's got a good little sequence right here. He's also saying that he would imagine a home game has the game plan put in Monday through Thursday with no contact, review on Friday. That sounds about right. And then he says, but due to travel on Friday, what gets dropped? One day of game planning or the review might make a difference. Also saying that he figured that I would know. I appreciate that. Thank you for the question. And then we're going to get to Deborah here in just a second. So Chatsworth, I think that was a really good question. Really nothing changes. I mean, like, you're going to go through everything. You might just be doing it somewhere different, right? So on Fridays, you will do that walkthrough, and then you'll do another one on Saturday morning. But yeah, I mean, just as far as all the game plan, all the install, that stuff is, I mean, that's already in. And then it's pretty much going to be up to each individual player because they get really thick pamphlets on tendencies and all of this type of stuff, like what player to look out for in certain formations, down the distance, all of that. So it's going to be more on the individual players to study that, watch the film. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think that they're going to get everything in. The only time that you won't is if something just like crazy happens that just kind of get you off schedule. But typically, you leave so early just to make sure, like, you would typically leave on a Friday night and get there so that you have time to get ready for all that type of stuff. So I mean, we should be fully, like, we should have everything 100% at go, just like it would be a home game. Now let me get right here to Deborah P, and she's saying that Green loves rolling to the right. I expect Arion Carter is going to feast on that and hopefully create some turnovers. I feel takeaways will be a big factor in this game. Yeah, I would say so, and he definitely does. I mean, like, I've seen some clips, and I've watched so much film on Arkansas, but I've seen some clips where literally he's got a lot more space to the left, and he's still, like, he'll start to go to the left, and he still comes back to his right. So tendencies like that is what the players, I know that they're keyed in on that type of stuff, and we are going to have a plan in place for that. Go ahead, Timmy.
No, man. I mean, I agree. I think one of the most important things in this game, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but contain. Do not lose contain. You got to set the edge. You got to make that guy turn back inside, and the linebackers definitely will play a big part in this game. So.
Yep. No question. Let's see what else we got right here from Mike Harmon. Says we were hit hard. Okay, so he's talking about the flood and the storm, and yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people were hit really hard with that. I wasn't expecting for it to be that bad this far up, but again, hopefully everybody is okay. Y'all are in our thoughts and prayers.
Amen.
Let's see. Okay, so we don't have too much more right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up some of the questions that I have right here. And the first one is just going to be about the biggest concerns. So as y'all are just kind of listening to Timmy and I give y'all our thoughts on this, just please kind of put your thoughts and concerns and all that type of stuff inside of the chat, and we will get to everybody. So, Timmy G, I'm gonna let you go first. Do you have any like major concerns about the game?
I don't have any major concerns. No, not really. I mean, I've seen a lot of people that are really nervous and really scared and all
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm
Every
not.
week.
Yeah, every week, man. It's that good old BBS.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going away. I noticed I suffered it. I suffered from it in the Oklahoma game, and that's not due to anything Heupel's done. That was due to John Chavis. John
Yeah.
Chavis has made me. He made me grow to fear prevent defense, because
Yep.
prevent defense prevents you from
From
winning.
winning.
So and that's nothing to do with Heupel. But no, I'm not concerned. Are they a good team? Yeah. Will they pose problems? Sure. But I'm not concerned in the slightest. I think guys are going to handle business. But I look forward to it, man. I think it's going to be a good game, and it's going to be a really good test for us moving forward. And we're going to see some things out of this team that we're going to see against some teams that are coming up.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a good game and a good teaching moment.
For sure, for sure. I guess my only concern would just be with Taylor Green, just because I mean he shows his ceiling is so high, but he
Yeah.
doesn't always play like that. You know what I mean? But a guy that's that big, that can run like that, that has an arm that's that strong, if he has his best day, this could be a really, really tough game. I mean, you can go back to Auburn, whenever they won it with Cam Newton, right? It was just Cam and it was that one tackle that they had, and I mean that was it. Those two people was able to win Auburn a national title. It was no real talent, anywhere else on that team. So I think that Taylor does have the capabilities to be able to really break this game wide open. So if I have any concern, it's about what sort of a game is he going to have? Is he going to be locked in? Because I know that he's hearing not just from his coaches, but obviously from social media, national media. Everybody's just kind of like, well, it's kind of feast or famine. You see some great things from him, and you see some
Yeah.
bad things from him. And if he wants to make it to the next level, this is the game that he needs to show up and show out. It's going to be at home. I think this is going to be Arkansas's first home game. Maybe they get a little bit more comfortable. You know what I mean? So if there is any concern, it would definitely be with Taylor Green. And we'll have to have a major game plan in place. And we'll have to execute that for 60 minutes in this one just to, make sure that he can't break this game wide open. Let's see right here from Mike Harmon. Looks like he says Vols will roll. I feel another defensive touchdown coming in this game. I think so too, just because not to just keep on going back and forth and all that type of stuff. But with Taylor, what I have noticed is, especially with pressure, he's not very accurate. I mean, he will throw you the football. I've seen him just make some crazy throws. Now I've seen him be accurate too. To me, I've seen him, falling backwards with pressure right in his face, and he'll throw it up, and the ball actually lands in a very accurate place. So, I mean, we'll see, but I do think that getting that pressure on, especially early on in this game, the secondary should be able to come up and make some plays. You know what I mean? And if it's not the secondary, I think that whoever's getting to him, it's a strong possibility. I think that we could get that football out from Taylor. So we'll see how all that goes. Let's go on to the next one right here. Okay, and we're gonna get the whatever the status update that should be out here soon. I'm about to start checking on that. But this question is about, will Lance Hurd and John Campbell play in this game? Now, Timmy G, have you heard anything on this? Do you have any sort of like inside source on this?
I do not. I do not have any inside. I wish I did. I do not. I expect Lance Hurd will play. Campbell is the one that I find questionable. And I'm not saying he won't play, but I'm saying we're going to see this as a reoccurring theme for him over the course of the year. He has knee injury, from what I understand, has to be drained from time to time. So that's going to be problematic. I've even heard possibly about, they might even have to limit him on plays, on some sort of a play count. I don't know. We'll see about him. But I think we will see Hurd play. And I think we'll be full force and ready to go, honestly, with the time off we've had. But we'll see when they release that injury report. But you take that injury report with a grain of salt, especially this first one, because you know how these guys are, especially Heupel. He's not going to tell you anything.
Yeah,
if he could list the whole team probable, or he would list the whole team probable, or. But it is what it is. I think they'll play.
Yeah. I mean, I I think that they will too. Now Campbell, he's been in and out the whole season.
Yeah.
So I guess that well, first let me say I think that Lance Hurd will definitely play. What he's been out for 3 weeks. He's been out for a long time. So it's time for him to come on back. So I would definitely expect for him to be plugged in on that left side. How good a shape is he going to be in? Because he's taking so much time off. That's something else to kind of watch. So we'll probably see Dane Davis and Larry Johnson rotate in on both sides some. Can they hold up? I think that Larry Johnson can. I was very impressed with what he did last weekend. I mean, just like the more film that I've watched on him, he looks really, really solid. So I trust him. Now, Dane Davis, man, he had probably his worst game maybe of all time last weekend. So hopefully he can pick it up. Typically, you don't play that poorly on back-to-back weekends. And if you just look at Arkansas's front, they've got a good, solid SEC front. But there's nobody up there that wows you as far as pass rush goes. It's not a whole lot of twitch. And then it's not a ton of depth behind those starters. So I think that we should be fine, especially if we can just kind of like time it where we have our starters in versus their starters, and then we can kind of bring our backups in versus their backups. I don't know how realistic that's going to be, but maybe we can do it. So I feel confident with that. But Timmy G, like you said, we're going to see here, I think, maybe at like 8:30 it should be coming out, but I'm going to keep on checking on that update. But obviously, it's going to be very important to have those two players back just because I feel like the offense this weekend can take a big step forward. Everybody's talking about Tennessee's defense is great. They've got a really strong running game, but we got to see the offense, open it up a little bit more, throw the football down the field. Nico hasn't had to do too much. The wide receivers, their stats aren't great at this point. I think this is a game that maybe Mike Matthews, we might try to turn him loose, especially with all these other freshman wideouts. You got Jeremiah Smith. You got that Ryan Williams kid. So I think those might be the top two wide receivers in the entire country right now. So that Mike Matthews wants to step up, and I think he will get his opportunities. But so everybody else, I feel like inside of that room. So this is the game for that, and we're gonna need really good pass protection. As long as I think Arkansas is just bringing four, we're gonna be perfectly fine. Now, once they start to kind of bring the pressure from the edges, it might be a little bit more of a challenge, but it's more about just identifying where the pressure is coming from, which I think that we'll be able to do. Like Arkansas they're not hiding their stuff the same way that Oklahoma did. Oklahoma, you really didn't know. NC State, it was coming from everywhere. So from that perspective, I think that this entire unit is going to be ready for this challenge. And, hopefully these guys can go. Let me see if we got anything else in the chats. Okay, so y'all just make sure that, if y'all have any thoughts, concerns, and all that type of stuff, just bring it up. Let's go on to the next one. This is asking, will we see that 3-3-5? And I bring this up because I know I had talked about it some in the film breakdown for all the members, just looking at Arkansas's defense. And I said, well, they normally play that four-man front, that 4-2-5, just like how Tennessee plays. But after listening to Coach Pittman talking about what OU did, with their scheme, it just kind of seemed like he was interested in maybe trying to mimic that. And I think that he will be. I think that he will be all for it as long as T. Will wanted to do it. The question is, can you implement an entire scheme change on defense in 1 week? I think if they had a bye before this one, it would be a lot easier, or if they had like an easier team. But I think that it would be tough. But what do you think about that, Timmy G? Do you think it's possible that Arkansas tries to come out with that 3-3-5 that's kind of giving us a little bit of problems?
No, I think that would be a horrible idea for them. Yeah, if they did that, I think you'd see some of the stuff that I've seen in some of these other games, guys running into each other. And last thing you want to do is try to shake things up and do something that they're not used to doing. They want them to have a good, clean game. I wouldn't recommend it, and who knows? Heupel might even welcome that because it feels like he's really starting to get this thing figured out. And what they can do with 12 personnel, I think, kind of can take care of some of that too. But no, I don't think they would change that up. I think they're going to play the way they've been playing. I think we're going to see a lot of the same stuff. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think you might have already talked about this, but I think our tempo is going to have a big effect on their defense. And I know you said this, and I remember this from a video earlier today. You put out so much stuff sometimes, I'm like, oh, Lord. Yeah, like that. That's going to give the big guys. That's going to give those big guys problems. They've got some really big guys, but to do tempo, you have to be successful. You have to establish first downs and get those chunk plays to wear those guys out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see, man. I don't think they'll change anything. I think they're going to do what they've been doing, and I think that would be a wise move for them to try to throw in something they're not used to at this point. Would not be good for them.
Yeah, and I'm gonna come right back to that, but I want to get to the status report because it is now up. I hope that y'all can see that pretty well, and as if you can see it, then what you're looking at is for
Ooh.
Tennessee, the only players that are out is Jordan Thomas, John Slaughter, Edwin Spillman, and Montrell Bandy. So I wonder what the heck's going on with Edwin Spillman and John Slaughter. I know that Slaughter was out last weekend too, and now Edwin Spillman, I think whatever he was kind of dealing with, like at the end of fall camp, maybe that's kind of flaring back up. I don't know. You hate to speculate, but hopefully he will be back at some point. And then Montrell Bandy, he's a walk-on guy. He's a secondary piece. I think that he plays corner, like really everywhere inside of our secondary, but he's going to be more of like a special teams guy. So looks like everybody's going to be going, man. We will have our entire offensive line back, and I think that that's trouble for Arkansas for sure, Timmy G.
Yeah.
Let's take a look real quick at who all they have out. So you know what? I don't really even know their players' names as well this week. I've been focusing more on the numbers, but nobody stands out right here to me. If you are an Arkansas fan watching this, if any of those names stand out to you, just please let us know down in the chat. But yeah, I mean, really, there's nobody for Arkansas that stands out.
No, I don't see Tesla on there, so I think they're okay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been one of their big playmakers, tight end, big kid. Looks like he's got pretty good feet and he's got pretty good hands. But no, the only thing that would concern me, and who knows if this guy's even starting. I see one guy on O-line out. Was he a starter? That, unfortunately, I'm like you. I don't exactly know. I would have to Google it and find out.
I don't think he is. That name doesn't look like. See, I would probably know some of the key names if I saw him, but I know jersey numbers a lot better at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I would say that it pretty much looks like the team is going to be full strength. Whenever I was listening to Coach Pittman talking, he sounded like he was more concerned with some of their tight ends not being able to play in this one. And they don't really use their tight ends that much as pass catchers. They use them a lot more just to block. Now, I have seen them use them some in spurts, but very, very sparingly. So, I mean, it's probably not a major loss outside of just being able to help, which that could be a pretty big deal because, man, their offensive line, especially those tackles, they've had some serious problems blocking people with speed. We got a whole lot of that coming off of those edges, man. I think James Pierce is going to feast this weekend. And we are going to pull up their stats here. I want to kind of dive into that because we can talk about because they've actually got a few really nice pieces that I think maybe could present a little bit of trouble to Tennessee. But all in all, man, it just feels like a team that if you can't block, if you can't kind of operate within that scheme, and I think the Bobby P scheme, it's so pro style that sometimes it can be harder on a quarterback. You got to kind of go through all those reads and stuff. And Taylor Green just hasn't done that on a consistent basis this season. So we'll see, man. Is this the week? Is this going to be the week where, everything just kind of clicks for him? If that happens, then, it could be a little bit of trouble. So right here, we're going to be looking at their players and their stats. And I'm going to come down here. All right, so number one, we already know about Jay Jackson as a running back. Really good. Definitely got to bottle him up. You're noticing it's not really any other running threat outside of Taylor Green. They almost had their carry split 50-50. It's going to be a ton of read option stuff. So it's either going to be Taylor getting it or it's going to be Jackson. But I think that they run that really well for the most part. Coming on down here to the wide receivers, this guy up at the top, Andrew Armstrong, he's number 2. He's really good. He's like 6'4", 200 pounds. He's fast. I think that he was clocked at 20.4 miles an hour this season, which is about what our wide receivers average. So, I mean, he's got good speed. He runs really good routes. He's a tough guy. He can make you miss after the catch. So he's one we definitely have to get bottled up. They like to, they'll use him mostly on the outside, but they'll work him back to the inside some. A whole lot of, like inside routes, digs, crossing routes, deep crossers. Just things that can beat man-to-man coverage, things that can beat cover 3, which Tennessee plays a whole lot of. Is going to be very important for our pass rush to affect Taylor Green so that, he can't get to this guy. Because I'm telling you, Taylor keys in on this guy first. He almost stares him down every single play. So that's his go-to guy. Next right here is Isaiah, and I don't even want to try to pronounce his last name, but he's number 6. He's going to be their slot guy, another really really fast guy. Runs great routes. You can see that he's got some nice numbers. That's going to be the second go-to guy for Talon, and they'll utilize him in a plethora of different ways, down the field, deep, over the middle. Drags, crossing patterns, things like that. I've also seen a couple of wide receiver screens. And then Tesla, okay, he's going to be number 4. He's another one. He's really good. I think he's about 6'4" as well. Fast, runs good routes. I mean, just the exact same thing. Really, all of their wide receivers, they got kind of a toughness to them, almost how Tennessee's wideouts do. So, I definitely like to see that from their team. And then this guy right here, I don't know if y'all can see it, but Tyrone Broden, he's 6'7". He's number 5. And I mean, I like him a lot. It seems like he gets open a ton, but for whatever reason, Taylor Green doesn't look his way too much. But I think that he could be maybe that X factor guy. But just because, just because not too many people talk about him. But I mean, he's one that he can sneak open, and he's got really good straight line speed and all those types of things. So we'll see. We'll see what the game plan is to try to stop all these wide receiver threats. Let me pull this back up. And then just as far as everything else, I mean, we've kind of already gone over their players on defense and all that type of stuff. So I'm going to get this on up out the way, and we're going to come back to this 3-3-5. So part of the reason that I did bring this up, like I said, is because it does sound like Coach Pittman, maybe he wants to try this. And I don't think it would. I mean, obviously, it's a completely different scheme, but I think that really Arkansas could run this well. They've got a perfect personnel for this. Really, if you look at their line, it's really big guys that can eat up space. And I think that they've got just enough twitchiness to them that with that odd man front, they could probably work a little bit better. And then if you look at their linebackers, they've got decent size, but the main thing with them is speed. I think that they can cover. They can bring pressure from a lot of different places. So whereas, we've seen NC State run this 3-3-5. We've seen OU run it. Arkansas's personnel is better than both of those teams. I don't know if they'll be able to run it as well, but maybe in some spurts. I mean, maybe you've got a couple of packages where you just try it out and see how it goes. And maybe Timmy G, maybe they're just desperate enough, because I think that, if they lose this one, I mean, I don't know how much longer they're going to be sticking around. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, I think they had to at least win 6 games. You know what I mean?
Right on. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So let's go on. Let's go on to the next one right here. So we've been talking about this one. How to stop Taylor Green. I would say my thoughts is definitely going to be, you're going to spy him some. You got to give him a ton of different looks. You need to bring the pressure from the outside, because you want to keep him bottled up. You want to keep him more towards the middle of your defense where everybody's at. You don't want him getting outside. So I think that that's probably going to be the biggest thing, just as far as him with his legs. You know what I mean? Just to try to slow that down some. But then whenever you think about him as a passer, you got to take away number 2 first. I mean, you might even want to try to bracket him, especially early on in this game. Try to bracket him, and then try to bring a little bit of extra pressure just to make sure that you're getting to Taylor. And again, bringing that from the outside. I think that would be enough just to kind of throw his confidence off. You don't want him getting confidence early on in this game, because if he starts to play with more confidence, if the entire team starts to play with a little bit more confidence, I think that they've got enough talent that they could be really dangerous. But Timmy G, what do you think we should do to try to stop Taylor Green? For everybody that is watching, let us know what y'all think down in the chat.
Well, I think I've already said it once in this, and that is contain. You have to contain the guy. You have to set the edge. You have to keep him inside the pocket. You also have to maintain your rush lanes, right? Like, you don't want to over pursue. I see that sometimes from James Pierce, when he's bending so much that he bends out so much that all of a sudden, now there's that wide open gap right there, in the quarterback can put his feet in the dirt and get forward. You just don't want to do that. You want to play smart, set the edge, and try to contain him. Let the linebackers come in and fill up those holes. You just have to play smart. We definitely want to pressure the guy. I think we're going to do that without a lot of issue. We'll see. I'm excited, man. I mean, dynamic quarterbacks they're scary, and that's why everybody talks about this guy. I mean, because like you said, from what I've seen from him so far, it seems like he does have a confidence problem. It looked like that in the A&M game. But the scary thing is, like you said, if he gets that confidence, what can he do to you? Right. But I think Tim Banks is an absolute master, and he's going to have a really good plan set for this guy. And if he needs to make adjustments, he'll make adjustments. But I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, for sure. And then too, something else that I know I've touched on several times throughout this week, it's going to be difficult to play too much man-to-man coverage, And I think that's what makes it maybe that might be the biggest challenge, because if you're talking about third and short, right, like third and four, third and five, you kind of want to play man just to minimize some of those shorter routes. But it's tough to do because Taylor uses his legs so much in those situations, and he can kill you. You know what I mean? Like he's tall enough, he could fall forward, like he could stand up and just fall forward 3 or 4 yards, So, I think that it's kind of tough from that perspective, but we'll just have to be very, very intentional with how we do bring the pressure with when we are playing man, because you can't get stuck into doing the same thing in certain down and distances, because Bobby P is a good enough OC that he'll start to figure it out, especially, come like second half. You might have to kind of switch some things up, Timmy G, just like you were saying, that Coach Banks will do it. He will do what he has to do to make sure that this defense and that this team is in the best spot to be able to win this game. And actually, I do see that I overlooked a couple of these questions. I'm sorry about that, y'all. My screen is actually messed up, and I think it came from that storm. But Deborah P is saying that Oklahoma slowed our run game. How do you think we will fare with establishing the run? So that's an excellent question, Deborah. Thank you for that. I think that we're going to do just fine with that, for several reasons. But whenever you look at how Arkansas's defense is set up, right, with that four-man front, they've got four guys up front that just aren't very twitchy. They've got the big guys that can eat up those blocks, and all that means is it'll be more difficult for our offensive line to get to their linebackers. And we can still get 3 to 4 yards doing that, but if we want to be able to hit some longer runs, we got to get up to that second level. So you're going to see a different, like a good mix of our run schemes. So we'll probably start off with some inside zone. We'll probably do a lot of that pin and pull, gap scheme type of stuff too, just to try to get some extra bodies, things like that. We'll probably mix up personnel groupings, bring those tight ends and help them, or just to help out with that running game. But I really think that the read option, using Nico as a threat, I think that's huge. I think that's going to be really, really, really big, just to try to keep them honest and keep them from flowing to the holes a little bit too quickly. And it sounds like it's a whole lot of different things, but it's very, very simple. And it just all comes down to, we've got better guys up front than I think Arkansas has. So I think that we should find a whole lot of success being able to run the football early. But Timmy G, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think I don't fear us not being able to establish the run. I mean, Arkansas is pretty good against the run. They're not the best against the run. I think A&M had some decent success moving the ball on them, and if A&M can do it, I feel like we can do it. Dylan Sampson is really, really good. That guy he can make people miss. He's insanely hard to take down for a guy his size. Guys like him just amaze me. When you see these guys that are a lot bigger than them trying to take them down, and those, it just doesn't work sometimes. He just keeps those feet grinding, man. I love the dude. I think having those big guys, I think our offense is going to wear those guys down over the course of the game. And once they do that, I think, it might be second quarter or maybe even third quarter, but eventually our O-line is going to wear down that defense, especially with tempo. And that's when those guys are really going to start to eat. And Dylan Sampson, man, I really loved seeing Heupel put in that one option play with Nico and him sweeping out to the right.
Yeah.
Last game, and I think we'll see more of that. And I love the fact that Heupel he loves to throw these things in to, like, okay, well, let me do this. So now you've got a plan for this. He's really good at doing that. I hope we see a little bit more of that. But I think we'll be able to establish the run. And I honestly, I know we haven't talked about this yet, but I think we're going to have a lot of success in the passing game. But
yeah,
Heupel's going to want to run first.
Oh yeah, all day long. Yeah. So yeah, I think that we'll be fine there. You know what? Something else that I would love to see Heupel do, because he does kind of. It seems like he has a different. It's probably not a new install that week, or maybe it is, but it's like he kind of opens things up a little bit more every single week. But I would love to see us get into some tighter sets with just like a base personnel, right? Just because that's something, man. If we could add that to our offensive scheme, you know how impossible. Like if we could run a good, like tight set, and then also be able to go tempo, and then spread guys out again. I think that just makes this offense impossible to stop. And there's a lot of different things that you can do in that running game off of that too. We're talking about jet sweeps, pitch plays, or speed sweeps, or speed option plays, just like you had just talked about with Nico and Decemp. So I would love to see that. I don't know if we try to implement that in this game, but I feel like we will open things up without question. Let me see if there's some more. There's some more that I need to get to in here real quick before I get on to the next one. This one right here from D. Taylor says our D line is about to shatter his confidence. Dealing with possible his failure. Yep, you already know it's coming. This right here says, sorry, I'm late, just got home. And then from MG Way says, hey, Vol fam.
What up, buddy?
With holes in the secondary, and as long as we protect for 5 seconds roughly, Nico will carve them up. Yeah, well, we're about to get to the passing game in just a minute. MG Way says, I hope to see Mike Matthews get some targets. Time for Brew McCoy to get a tutty. Oh, yeah, that's definitely coming. And then UT Bad Gum says, sorry, wrong account. Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that, brother. All right, so yeah, I also want to kind of talk about, what do we think that you know what? Actually, let's just skip that. I want to go straight to our passing game, because I think that we can run a lot of different personnel groupings versus this team, like we kind of touched on. We're going to see a whole lot of man-to-man coverage. We're going to see a lot of cover three, which with how we run our scheme, that's going to turn into man coverage. Cover four, that's going to turn into man coverage. All that means is we're going to have one-on-one opportunities. That means that our guys can feast. They can go deep. Double moves should be wide open. Those switch routes should be wide open. So I think that all of our guys should have plenty of opportunities, because I do feel like we'll be able to hold up front, give Nico, I don't know about 5 seconds, but probably 3 to 4 seconds, that's enough. That's plenty of time for him to be able to find somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
What'd you say? I said you're right. I mean, 5 seconds, that's a long time. 4 seconds is long enough. Like if we can hold him for 4, yeah, Nico's going to find something.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I think that we will be fine from that perspective. But one of my questions this whole week has been, what are our tight ends going to do in this game? When we run like really any 12 personnel, we'll probably do just a little bit. But I think that we're going to have at least 3 wide. So that's why, I feel like we can really spread that field out and just freaking go to work. So I think it's going to be a really, really high scoring game for Tennessee. Now, I think that Arkansas has got a pretty solid secondary. They look pretty good in coverage, but it's just if you get them isolated in any way, shape, form, or fashion, they don't look as good. So that's why I think that Tennessee is going to have a ton of, a whole lot of success at. So we'll see how all that plays out. Let me get to, I thought I saw a few more of these come up right here from Chatsworth. He says, need to duck out early, guys. Bull, thanks for the answers. Go Big Orange. Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us tonight. UT Bad Gump says that Hypo goes to Fayetteville, drops 50. T-Bags Bob Petrino kicks his motorcycle over and then pisses on it. Okay. All right. I'm not going to read the rest of that, but hey, man, look, you know what? I think that he gets me every single week with that one.
He's going to do that.
Yep. We got CTB Spiffy says Boo Carter interception. I think that this could be a pretty big weekend for our star players, for our safeties. They'll probably get stressed. This should be a game that guys like Will Brooks, Turntine, Kobe Thomas, and then I guess Christian Charles, he should get some playing time as well. But all those guys, they're going to be tested. Christian Harrison too. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting because I have seen in certain formations that Arkansas gets into where they might have one of their guys kind of flexed out on just like isolated. And I've seen us have safeties guard that guy. So, I mean, they could end up getting truly, truly isolated. How are they going to respond? This should be a really good test for our secondary. But, I think that they're going to be up to the challenge, because what Arkansas is going to need is some time to be able to throw the football down the field. And I don't see them having it in this game at all. Let's get to some more of these. from UT Bad Gumps, the other account. Okay, he's talking about some troll stuff. Let's get to he's got it. Man, y'all tripping inside of that chat. All right, so let's see. Do I have any more questions that I wanted to get to? Actually, let's take a look at some of these numbers right here, because I know that most of y'all have seen this. Some of y'all haven't though, but this right here is just showing Arkansas's offense versus Tennessee's defense. You can see that Tennessee's winning every single category that we have up here. And I think that these numbers should look pretty similar. Now, the one thing that I did point out was I feel like Arkansas might be able to get more than the 50.8 yards on the ground per game that Tennessee has been averaging. I think that they might be able to get more than that, probably not by much. And I think that that's going to come from Taylor Green, just using his legs. I also feel like they're going to try to run some jet sweeps and things like that. I think that they've only run jet sweeps twice this season, but Oklahoma, they had some success doing that. So I would not be surprised to see other teams just try that and see if they can't get that edge on Tennessee's defense. But really, man, I think outside of that, Timmy G, you tell me what you think just looking at these numbers. I think that it's going to be about as dominant as it looks with these stats.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just a repeating theme for me, but line of scrimmage is going to dictate how this game goes. If Tennessee has success, and I think they will, with the defensive line, then that's going to pose some challenges for these guys. And Talon is really good, but he's not been really good when he's under pressure. And he sometimes he makes mistakes, and I think that's when you don't want a guy like Jamad McCoy out there lurking when you're throwing up one that's not great, right? He's probably going to go up and he's going to get it. I wouldn't be surprised if dang it, is it Jamad McCoy or who am I thinking about?
Gibson?
No, not Jamad McCoy. It brings the wood, man. Jacoby Thomas.
Jacoby. Yeah.
Hey, come out there and lay one of those out early in the game, and that's going to make some receivers look twice before they cross the road. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
man. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not super concerned because I think that our defensive line just poses so much of a problem that it really disrupts how these guys play their game. We just have to play smart, but they've definitely got some good stuff. And it is going to be a challenge and it's going to be a good test, but I've got ultimate faith in our balls this weekend. So.
Yeah. I mean, something else too about Arkansas is that they do a lot of like 5-7 step drops, which just means that it's going to take the play longer, or it's going to take the plays longer to, kind of like open up. So, I mean, we're going to have plenty of time to be able to get to Talon, and I just think that the matchup, man, from top to bottom, it favors Tennessee so heavily. Coming off of a bye week, Arkansas,
especially if you have problems with your tackles. Yeah. That's the last place in the world you want to have problems with when you play Tennessee right now. And it's not just James Pierce; it's a bunch of those guys, man. They are playing lights out. They're coming out there with their hair on fire, and they're coming after you. And those guys have a lot of confidence, and it's we haven't seen anything like this. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this with the Tennessee defense. You've got to go back to the early 2000s when we were putting in 8 guys. They're putting in 12 to 14 guys, and they're able to go lights out all game. The only thing that scares me, and I won't go back to that Oklahoma game when I said the guys look gas. I think one thing, we haven't seen a team do this yet outside of Oklahoma, which was play tempo. If you want to disrupt Tennessee's defense, playing tempo can disrupt Tennessee's defense because you can't rotate. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that's why those guys were gassed. But I don't think, or that's not something Arkansas does, so I'm not concerned about that. But I don't know who's going to have a huge game on defense. I think there's going to be a couple guys, and I think once again the defensive lines just, man, it is something this year.
Yeah. I mean, Shoot, I think it's going to be a lot of guys should be having really big games, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to mostly probably come from the guys up front. Um, right here, a specific one. Yes, okay, I didn't mean to click on that. All right, this one right here. Okay, sorry about that. So this one is from D Taylor. Says that I think tight ends will be our biggest weapon in this game. Okay, so that's an interesting take. I would like to know, what you've seen that makes you think that. I could see them being utilized some way, but for me, whenever I'm looking at how Arkansas's personnel is with their defense, their linebackers are really good athletes. This is going to be the most athletic linebacking core that we've seen by far this season. It's not even close. They can all guard. I mean, they can all move. They can all play out in space. They are a little bit undersized. I'm curious about, some of the listed sizes that they have because they don't look that big. But but they can most definitely move. So I'm just kind of curious with that. And, will they try to use safeties to try to guard our tight ends? But you could be right. I mean, maybe they can still do what they do. And I think that they're going to have to get to that point if we want to win a national title, because Texas has guys like that. Alabama kind of has guys like that. I don't really think Georgia might have one or two guys, but I actually think that Arkansas's linebacking core looks better out in space than Georgia's linebackers do for sure. Georgia's linebackers, they didn't look good to me, man. I think that's a game that our tight ends should be able to feast for sure. They can be weapons, but they have good speed linebackers. Okay, yeah. So you're saying the same thing that I just said. Let's get to this one right here from Carlos Negros. He says, I'm thinking Coach Hype allows Nico to do his thing Saturday. I think so too. I feel like after this Oklahoma game, Timmy G, I just kind of feel like, man, it's like this weight has been lifted up off of everybody. Yeah, we're playing with a whole lot of confidence. That might be another one of my concerns is, do we let this bye week kind of, just being able to soak in all this media, loving on us and all that type of stuff? Has it gotten to us at all? I don't think that it will because we have so many veterans, but that could be maybe another possible, just something to throw out there. But yeah, I think that now that weight's been lifted, we're going up against a defensive front that, we have had success with every single season. I think that it is definitely time for us to unleash Nico and just like let him have a daggum field day. He might have 500 plus total yards, Timmy G.
Yeah, well, and one of the things I saw in watching some of the tape on those guys, and not that I watched a bunch of games, but just in the Texas A&M game, I saw way too many of Texas A&M guys running open.
Yeah,
that they were getting behind the DBs, and like I saw plenty of windows. Nico can fit one in on those guys. I mean, a lot. I think Nico's going to have a really good game. And look, football is one of those things. If you start having success in the pass game, that frees up the run game, right? And vice versa. But I don't know. I think Nico's going to have a really good game. I just saw way too many of their DBs letting guys behind them, and if you let Dante behind you,
it's over.
Brew, like, come on, man.
Yeah, Dante, Brew, Squirrel, Mike,
Chaz. I'd love to see Mike get one. I want Brew to get a tutty. I want to see Brew get one. I'd love to see Squirrel. Look, I'd like to see them all get one. And maybe they will. I don't know. I mean, it could be one of those games if they let us run wild like that. So
yeah. Yeah, and now I don't want to paint this picture like Arkansas's defense is just like they're just gonna let us do whatever because I think that their defense is solid. Okay, please don't get that twisted. Actually, I don't know, maybe not necessarily from top to bottom. Well, yeah, I would probably say from top to bottom. I actually think it's better than OU's defense. I just think that OU was able to play a perfect scheme to kind of slow down what Tennessee likes to do, and at the same time, Coach Heupel, he just got ultra just like conservative in that second half and just ran the ball. But I actually think that they've got better athletes than Oklahoma has. So, we will see. We will have some success, but I don't think it's just going to be like every single drive. Expect Tennessee to score. Right here, MG Way. What's going on? MG Way says, I think Arion Carter is going to feast. I do too. I think him, Kenan Pilley, really all of our linebackers, JT. I want to see all of our guys kind of get in. I want to see them try to, start to build up some more confidence in this game, just moving forward because, we got Florida next week and then we got Bama. So we need to start not necessarily peak, but we got to start kind of taking those steps towards peaking. This is going to be one of those games just to take that step forward. I think for offense, defense, special teams. Right here from G-Force. What's going on? G-Force says, Nico breakout game this week. Hey man, I'm happy that everyone's on the same
I
page with
hope
that.
so.
Yeah, everybody's feeling that. Let's get to D. Taylor says they will load the box to stop the run. I think play action to our tight ends will be money. Okay, just something I noticed watching film of their defense. You know what? That's actually a really really good point, and it's something that I didn't think about. But since they do play that one high look, they will kind of have a safety primarily down in that box a whole lot. So maybe we can sneak somebody out. That's actually a great point. I could definitely see that happening. Let me get to right here from let me make sure I read this a little bit first. I already put it up from UT Bad Gump says short passing game, our tight ends are great. They rub block in RPO and it's wide open, usually red zone killer. That's something else I think that RPO we need to use a lot more of that in this game. If those safeties start to creep up too much, RPO, we got to start throwing it over people's heads. That's something that we talked about coming out of that Oklahoma game that we just did not do enough of. I want to see us start doing that because if we put that on film and we make teams start to play us more honest moving forward, it's going to be impossible to stop this offense. It's going to be nothing that anybody could do. There's not a team in the country that could stop it. Let's see, what else do we have right here from right here from UT Bad Gump says, oh, you had
Yeah, be
he had
careful with gumps,
winnable
man.
scheme. Yeah, I know. You know what, man? I need to get this screen fixed because I can't even see it until I pull it up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna have to make sure that I get that fixed probably this weekend. But yeah, do you have any other thoughts, Timmy G? I think that we pretty much covered everything. I'm happy that the team is going to be back healthy, but pretty much outside that, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, really, man. I mean, I think we're going to have a good game. I
Yeah,
think it's going to be an exciting game, and I want us to go out there and show the nation, like, hey, look, we're here.
yeah,
This is the second big road game. Tennessee is the prime time team this year, right? We ain't going to see a noon game till UTEP. Like
yeah.
it's going to be a minute
Every week, man.
every week, and I wouldn't be surprised if everything goes right and we're undefeated when we play Alabama. That's probably going to be a game day showing up to Knoxville. That's going to be interesting. That's a wild day for football that day. You're going to have
Yeah.
UT facing Alabama and Texas playing Georgia. That
Wow.
is going to be a wild. That is going to set the tempo for the playoffs that weekend. You're going to know who's who and what's up. If
100.
Texas shows up and beats Georgia, that's going to be bad for Georgia. 2 loss. That's really going to be something. But man, there's no telling. That's going to be a wild day of football. It's going to be worth watching. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And Deborah P right here says that I think our schedule has ramped up perfectly to get our balls ready for Bama. I do too. I think that, literally, this is as good of a schedule as maybe we've ever had. It's perfect from top to bottom, like the bye weeks and just everything. It's beautiful. I also think just kind of like looking towards that weekend, I think that because I watched a lot of film on the Buckeyes, they're going to lose. I think that they're going to lose a couple of games. I am not impressed with them. I'm not impressed with them at all. I think that their scheme is very easy to stop. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them go down to somebody before that game. I also, as much as I kind of almost hate to say this, I wouldn't be surprised to see Texas maybe lose to Oklahoma. And the only reason is just because, man, that
Hey,
rivalry is just crazy,
that's like Auburn, Alabama, man.
Yeah,
Voodoo happens in those games, man. You don't know who's going to win that game because there is a deep-seated hatred between those
yeah,
teams. That is every bit the third Saturday in October for those guys.
yeah.
Like that is the Red. I can't even hardly say it. Red River rivalry.
Rivalry. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a tough one.
um, yeah, that's going to be a wild game, and that's just one of those games, man. Like, yeah, can Oklahoma beat Texas? They can. They've done it before. Can Texas come in and stomp a mud hole in Oklahoma? Yeah, probably can. It's going to be a wild game. That's going to be worth watching.
Yeah. So we'll see. But like my whole point with that is it could end up being, it could be top three teams playing for Tennessee and Bama. I think Bama will probably still be number one. I don't know who all they have coming up. I don't really see them losing. And I don't see our Vols losing either all the way up to that point. So could be number 1 versus number 2 or number 1 versus number 3, whatever. But we should be getting college game day. Let me get to this one. I was actually able to kind of sift through this one to make sure that it was family friendly. So UT Bad Gum says, who is Slaughter going to try to line up on? There's some old practice reps. So I don't think that their guys don't like follow. I think that they stick to like one side, and then Slaughter's playing at the nickel spot. So whoever we have playing side of the slot, he's going to have to try to cover. So could be him versus Squirrel White for most of the game. Could be him versus Chaz. It could be him versus Chris Brazel, Dante. And I think he's actually pretty solid in coverage. It's just double moves, man. Double moves get him. He had a really bad game versus Oklahoma State. But I think that those guys, I think Addison Nichols, they already know what's coming. And I'm sure that they've tried to get the team ready, but it's just you just can't simulate how Tennessee plays. I'm going to try to get to some more of these on up out the door. From my man Los, he's saying, not going to lie, the Sooner game bothered me. I understand what I've been told, but if you have an offense, isn't the goal to score? Yeah, I think that a big part of the reason that Heupel kind of played how he played was because we had those backups in that he might not have trusted as much, especially with that. Dane Davis had a really bad day. And as you're going through it, right, like you put Larry Johnson out there, we know that Dane Davis has been starting over Larry Johnson. So the staff had more confidence in Dane Davis. So, in that moment, you feel like, well, dang, if Dane is kind of getting whipped, what is Larry going to do? So you're just being really, really careful. You don't want to, have your star quarterback have any, real nicks or issues going forward. So I think that's the real reason. We're up. You understand that Oklahoma can't score versus our defense. So let's just get on up out of here healthy and let's just take this dub. So I think that's really why things look the way that they did. But great news, if y'all missed it, we got both of our starting tackles back for this weekend. At least that's the way that things are looking right now. I hope that does not change. Let me get to this right here from D. Taylor. Says it was called Red River Shootout for the first 3 decades of my life. That's what I'm calling it. Yeah, it was. It did used to be called that. I guess they had to change it for some reason. MG Way says Bama has Vandy this weekend. I'm gonna tell you. I think that Vandy will present some problems to Alabama. I think Alabama is a good team, Timmy G, but I'm seeing some problems. They're not like, even after watching it live, like watching that Georgia game live, there's some problems there. I mean, I'm telling you, I think that game could be a little bit closer than people might think.
Well, I think Vandy's just one of those teams that is going to sneak up on some people this year. They're not playing like the Vandy of old. I mean, are they the best team in the SEC this year? No, but you know what? They're not the worst either. They're like they can sneak up on you. I mean, they gave Missouri all they wanted and then some. They took Missouri to what, 2 overtimes?
Yeah,
like at Missouri. Like not to say that playing at Vandy is an advantage, because it's obviously not. I mean, that's like a home game for us when we go. I hate hating on Vandy, especially when I'm glad P ain't here, because I always feel like I'm like, man, I know Pete paid for him, but I know he's a UT fan.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I tried to, but no, man. I mean, Vandy, I think they've got a really good coach, man, and what he's done with that team is really impressive. And I guarantee you, people fear Vandy this year, just because they are one of those teams. If you overlook them, they're going to sneak up on you, and they can definitely pose some problems. So
yeah. So we'll see. It should be a great weekend of college football. I'm gonna get to this one right here. And hey, listen, dude, it is all good, brother. All right, so I ain't tripping, but yeah, please do that for me moving forward. I'm gonna have this screen fixed, man. I'm gonna go ahead and buckle down, make some time to get that done, because I'm not gonna be able to keep on operating like this. But listen, y'all, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the chat. Y'all are awesome. We will have some more content coming out for the rest of this week, and of course on Saturday we're gonna be going live for the pregame show and for the postgame show. We hope that y'all will join us for that. We'll have some more breakdowns and all that good stuff. We should have Pete joining us for both of those streams. So
awesome.
Again, thank y'all. Please make sure to like and subscribe on your way on up out the door. And we will see y'all tomorrow. Thanks. Peace.
Have a great night, guys. Thanks.